Welcome to a video about fairness criteria and the Condorcet criterion. So a little bit about voting. Here's an ad that I thought was pretty funny. Mumble, grumble, complain, wallow, hope, despair, worry, vote. Just a reminder, the one on the bottom changes things a lot faster. It seems true, somewhat true. At least it makes us hopeful and gives us incentive to vote. So remember that anytime a vote is available for you. So here are some definitions we want to consider in this video. First, fairness criteria. The fairness criteria are statements that seem like they should be true in a fair election. There's some things that we think would make it fair and the outcome fair. And the very first one, the very first fairness criteria we're going to look at is called the Condorcet criterion. If there is a choice that is preferred in every one-to-one comparison with the other choices, that choice should be the winner. Yeah, so like if let me give you an example. Let's say myself and a couple friends of mine are having a competition. Let's make it simple, something like, arm wrestling. Well, if I beat every other person that I arm wrestle, then I should be declared the winner. It doesn't really matter who wins the other matches. If I beat every single person in a one-to-one comparison, right, or one-to-one heads-up match, then I should be the winner. We call that type of winner, a special winner, the Condorcet winner or Condorcet candidate. And that would seem fair, wouldn't it? That if they beat everybody head to head, they should be a winner. So let's take a look at an example. Let's take a look at this example. A group of friends decide they want to attend a bowl game, which is a football game for those of you that don't know, a college level football game this coming year. They are trying to decide between 5 different bowl games. The Rose Bowl, which we'll denote with R, the Hula Bowl, H, the Fiesta Bowl, F, the Orange Bowl, O, the Sugar Bowl, S. They put it to vote using a preference ballot. Below are the results. Now, the first thing you might note is there is a lot of friends here, right? The number of votes is a lot because we have 49 plus 48 plus 3, which would be, well, 100 votes. So we have a very large group of friends that's going to attend a bowl game together. Perhaps they're people that know each other from a university or from a college or some kind of setting. Maybe they all go to church together. Maybe they all are in some kind of social club together. Anyway, it's a large group. So here's the votes. Now, what we've covered before this video is plurality and majority, and it looks like there is no majority because a majority, if there's 100 votes, majority would be 51. Remember, it has to be more than half. Half of 100 is 50. Majority would be 51. Nobody gets 51 first place votes. All right. But if we look for a Condorcet winner, we find something different. What we do is we do head-to-head matchups. Now, this is kind of tricky because we have lots of head-to-head matchups. We have to consider the Rose Bowl, right, versus the Hula Bowl. That's one head matchup to consider, right? We're going to consider that one. We have to do the Rose Bowl versus the Fiesta Bowl. I'm going to do R versus F. We have to do the Rose Bowl versus the Orange Bowl. We have to do the Rose Bowl versus the Sugar Bowl. Now, that's not all of them, even though I've listed all those out. Those are just the ones that Rose has to go against. Now, this can be kind of confusing to keep track of. I have a way to help you, though. So you can think about it like there's 5 different bowls, right? I'm going to put 5 dots kind of in a circle here. All right. We have the Rose Bowl, R, the Hula Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl. Now, what I've done so far is I did R versus H, I did R versus F, R versus O, and R versus S. Those are connected lines showing matches, but there's still lots of unconnected ones. For example, if I look at S, it's only connected to R. I have to do S versus H, S versus F, and S versus O, and that will give me some more. So I have to write those down as well. So I'll write those down as S versus H, and S versus F, and S versus O. Those are all. These are what, by the way, you might be wondering, what am I writing down? I'm writing down head-to-head matchups. There's some more, right? I have to connect O to H, and I have to connect O to F. So I have O versus H. There's a lot of head-to-heads. You would want a computer to do this probably. And I have O versus F. All right. And then if you look, there's only 2 dots left that do not connect yet, right? There's 2 dots left, which is F and H. Once I connect those, I have everything connected. So now I have to consider F versus H, all right, as well. Now, what I'll do in each one of these head-to-head matchups is decide who would be the winner. Okay, so here's how it would work. I'll just take a look at the very first one over here, which is the Rose Bowl versus the Hula Bowl. What I do is I think about everybody else being gone and only looking at R and H. So if I look at R and H in the row of 49, or excuse me, the column of 49, who's the winner? Well, you can see that R is above H, right? R has first place votes and H has second place votes. So I would say R gets those 49 votes, right? But if I look at the second column, who's at the lead? Is it R or H? Well, R is at the very bottom here and H is at the very top. So H gets those 48 votes, all right? And then in the last column, there's 3 votes. Who wins, R or H? Well, R is at the very bottom, and so H wins that as well. So H gets 3 votes there. Now, that's how you do it. Now, you're like, well, what about all the other people? Okay, when we're looking at head to head, we're only considering what if those are the only 2 people. Who has more votes, R or H? Well, R has 49, but H has 48 plus 3, which is actually 51. So H is our winner. Okay, H is a winner there. And then you just kind of continue this process out. How about R versus F? Well, R would get 49 here, and F would get 48 here, and F would get 3 here. So F is our winner here, all right? And then you do R versus O. R gets 49, and O gets the 48, and O gets the 3. In fact, you might notice that R is at the bottom in the last 2 columns and only in first place. So they're actually going to lose every single head-to-head match. When R plays the Sugar Bowl, once again, R gets 49, but the Sugar Bowl gets 48 plus 3. So here the Sugar Bowl wins. So what happens here is that R, we know R is not a Condorcet winner. R has lost every single match. In fact, the other 4 have each won a match. So you might pause and think, well, do I really have to go through all of these matches? Maybe, maybe not. What I'm really looking to find out is there someone that seems to win all of their matches. Now, if you look, who's really at the top of this chart, it looks like H is very high, right? H is second place, first place, second place. So let's just look at all of H's matches, okay? H won their first match over here, the first match, right? 48 plus 3, but H has 4 matches, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have to look at the other as well, see if H can win every match. So let's look at S versus H. In the first column, who's above, H or S? Well, H gets those 49 votes because S is at the very bottom. In the second column, the 48 votes, we see that H is at the very top, so H gets those 48 as well, all right? And then in the last column, H is still above S, H gets those 3. Well, clearly H is the winner because H got all of the votes versus the Sugar Bowl. Let's skip these 2 right here for now. I'm going to skip these 2, and I'm going to go look for the ones with H. Let's go down to the bottom left where we have O versus H. All right, in the first column, who gets the 49? Well, if we're only looking at H versus O, O is way down here, right? H is above O, so H gets the 49. In the second column, H gets the 48. And in the third column, against O, H is above O as well. H gets the 3. H gets all of those votes. So H is a really strong competitor. H wins that one. Let's skip this one right here as well. And let's go to the last one, F versus H. This is an interesting one. So in that one, if you look at the first column, H is above F, right? H is above F, so H gets those 49 votes. And in the second column, H is at the top, 48 votes. In the last column, F is actually beating H. F is above H and gets those 3 votes. But of course, that's not nearly enough to pass the other ones. So H wins those. So what we have found out is that H wins versus R, right? H wins versus S, H wins versus O, and H wins versus F, meaning H, which represents the Hula Bowl, has won head-to-head against any of the other bowls. So in this particular example, we say that the Hula Bowl is our Condorcet winner. Some instructors, some authors will call this Condorcet. I tend to say Condorcet, but I'm not exactly sure on the pronunciation there. So the Hula Bowl is our Condorcet winner. Okay, now did the Hula Bowl win the plurality or win a majority? No, but it looks clear from the table that Hula is a strong contender. So we would say that. Let's take a look at a second example. This preference schedule is for the math club. Now, you'll notice math club election. There's 4 candidates here, A, B, C, D. They probably have names, but I'm just calling them candidates A, B, C, D. We're trying to see maybe who's the president of the math club. So if you're going to look for a Condorcet winner, what you want to do, rather than look at every match, although this would be a little easier because there's only 4 candidates, A, B, C, D. And so there's going to be a lot less matches. In fact, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches only to consider. You basically want to find a candidate who can beat the other 3 candidates. Well, if you look at the top, does anybody seem to gravitate towards the top? Maybe B. Like B seems reasonably high on all those. And so maybe we'll look at B versus A and see who's the winner there. And then we'll look at B versus C, and then we'll look at B versus D and see if B can win all of their matches. Okay, let's look at B versus A. In the first column, in the 14, who's higher, B or A? A is higher, so A gets those 14. In the next column of 10, who's higher, B or A? B is higher, so B gets those 10. In the third column, who gets the 8? Well, B is above A, so B gets those 8. In the fourth column, B is at the very top, B gets those 4. And in the last column of 1, B is above A. So who has the most total votes there? If you add up B's, 10 plus 8 is 18, plus the 4 is 22, plus 1 is 23. So B clearly is the winner here, has more than A. All right, let's take a look at the next competition, B versus C. In the first column of 14, who's higher, B or C? Looks like B is above C, getting those 14. In the next column, C is above B. C is at the top, so C gets those 10. In the next column of 8, C is also above B. C gets those 8. All right. In the fourth column, all right, who gets those 4 votes? Well, B is at the top, so B picks up those 4. And in the last column, the one at the top is C. Now, if you add these up, B has 18, but C has 19. C is the winner. Now, what does this mean? This means that B is not a Condorcet winner. They're just not. I'm not a Condorcet winner. I'm going to say both of those, I realize. I'm going to say both pronunciations. So at this point, you would be like, well, B is not a Condorcet winner, so I guess I'll try C because maybe C's winning all of theirs. And so then you might look at matchups like you might look at like, well, what about C versus, well, we have C already beating B. How about C versus A and C versus D? Maybe since C is a winner. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say in our first match that we looked at, since A was a loser, then A is also out. A is not a Condorcet winner, and neither is B. But now we're going to try C. All right. So let's look at C versus A. In the first column, A gets the 14. In the second column, C gets the 10. In the third column, C gets the 8. In the fourth column, C gets the 4. And then C also beats A in the last column. So C wins there. So C is winning 2 matches. And now C versus D. In the first column, C gets the 14. In the second column, C gets the 10. In the third column, D gets the 8 at the top. In the fourth column, D gets the 4 in the last column. So, wow, it looks like C wins that match. Okay, so what we find out is if C wins 3 matches, and you look at our chart, right? C beats B, C beats A, and C beats D, then C actually wins all of their matches. And so we can say that candidate C, let me go to a black pen here, candidate C is a Condorcet winner for the math club. That's our president. Now, I didn't show you an example, but there are many examples, and we'll look at some later on the next pages, where there is no Condorcet winner. You can maybe win some of your matches, but not all, and then you are not considered to be a Condorcet winner. All right. And that would be it.